What's going on, everybody? This is Kano from the Gamer Section, back with a brand new interview. Now, before we can get into the interview, if you hear anything in the background, I apologize for it in the meantime. But let's go ahead and get started. So, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey, my name is Matteo and I'm a solo game dev from Germany. I'm developing games since 2 years now, since the start of the pandemic. And since 1 year, I'm developing my first game, Makis Adventure. It's an action platformer with pixel art design and it's my first commercial and big project.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. So, first question: what was the first game that you played that made you fall in love with gaming?
The first game I think was Pokemon Pearl for the Nintendo when I was
Mm-hmm.
like 11 years old, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
I just love the pixel art aesthetic, for example. And this was the point where I wanted to make a pixel art game in my life. So I love Pokemon, the whole franchise. The newer game, I love to play the older games like Pokemon Pearl, Pokemon Diamond, Gold, Silver, and those games. But I just love those genre.
A classic, classic, dope, dope. Definitely feel you on that, man. Pokemon is a big hit, and that game right there is a classic, and people definitely love that type of game, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel you on that. So, like, how did you get into game development anyway? Though?
For example, when I before I started with game development, I was an artistic guy, so I just drew something. I just drew in an anime style and portray. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but when the pandemic started in Germany in March 2020, I think, I wanted to search for new things I can do because I was kind of bored from just drawing some
Mm-hmm.
random things from the internet. And so I wanted to start with something new and dived into programming. I started with Python and AI
Mm-hmm.
programming, and later on I wanted to learn game development. I started because I saw a video from Makis, a game dev YouTuber, and
Okay. Yeah.
I really loved the feeling to create your own worlds and wanted to try it myself.
Okay. That's dope. That's extremely dope. So, like, are you currently a solo developer, or do you have like your own studio that you started up?
I am I'm a solo developer, but I would love to get some more people into the team. I think for the next game, I will definitely get some more people. Like two of my friends are artists and programmers, so it would be really good to get them into the team for the next game. But Marcus Adventure is a solo project.
Okay, dope, dope. So, Mech is a venture. Like, what is the concept behind the name of the game? Like, the name in particular.
The name is the nickname of my parents gave me is Maki, so the game is very personal. I built some
Mm-hmm.
personal stuff into the game, like Maki, the shark demon, should represent myself. Like demons are most alone, and for the most part of my life, I was alone, and I love to be alone to make some creative shit and stay alone in my house, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
I also implemented the personalities of my friends into the game. So three of the NPCs in the first dungeon, for example, are named after my friends from real
Mm-hmm.
life. So the adventure is just because it's my first adventure on making a big game, like a big project for like over 3 months development time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's my adventure and the adventure of the player.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting. So, within this game, like the engine wise, like what engine are you actually using for this game?
I'm using Unity engine because
Mm-hmm.
I started with Unreal, like before I used Unity, but Unreal is just, I started to make some 3D prototypes earlier on, but I
Mm-hmm.
decided to turn it into a pixel art adventure, so I later on switched over, like after 2 days, to Unity, because Unity is my way to go for 2D games.
Mm-hmm.
I tried with many different engines like GameMaker too, but I didn't like GameMaker, to be honest. I love Unity because Unity has just everything you need, I think, to make any game you want. So you can make 3D games with the 3D engine, you can make 2D games. So I think Unity is my best way to go to for Maki's Adventure.
Dope, dope. I definitely feel you. Multiple engines, but you prefer Unity engine. I feel that. I definitely feel that. So, with Mackey's Adventure, like, what is the backstory of the character? Like, to the people that don't know.
The character is a shark demon. and his brother Temo is another shark demon. They were
Mm-hmm.
chosen to protect the whole area from evil demons. One
Mm-hmm.
day, the residents of the islands lived a peaceful life, but then a storm happened, and the storm opened the gate to the underworld. And
Mm-hmm.
through this gate, Octo, the Demon King, the Dark Demon King, the evil antagonist, went through the gate and gone to the overworld, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
then he started to terrorize the whole area. And Maki and Temo are the protectors of the area, so they wanted to fight him, but they lost.
Right.
So
Right.
they after that they wake up in the prison because Octo arrested them, and the player has to find Octo and like make a second a big fight against Octo at the end of the game.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. So tell us about the transformation between the shark and the demon in the game, because people may not be familiar with the shark and the demon. Explain it to the people.
I, to be honest, I choose shark because I love sharks. Sharks are my favorite animal, so I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to implement them. And another reason for the sharks is that I think uh, players and in general human are just seeing sharks as a dangerous animal. I think sharks are not as much appreciated as they should be, and they
Mm-hmm.
are hunted. So I think sharks are really unlucky to be sharks. But I wanted to give them a chance in my game and implement them. The
Mm-hmm.
transformation is because I want to show the players that water sections in video games do not have to be boring all the time, because when you see in Mario or The Legend of Zelda, the water
Mm-hmm.
sections are mostly boring, or the water dungeon is, I think it's the most annoyed dungeon for the players. I think it's a meme because the water dungeon is really, the movement is
Mm-hmm.
really restricted, and you have to get air, so you have to dive up. And I want to show players that water can be fun in video games, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
let them see water as a goal and not as an annoying obstacle in the game.
Right. So what inspired you to create this game?
A huge inspiration, for example, was a mobile game called Hungry Shark. I played it
Okay.
as I was a child. You just
Mm-hmm.
swim as a shark and eat the human. Another huge inspiration is, for example, Hollow Knight. Hollow
Oh
Knight is
yeah.
a big inspiration because of the big world to explore, so the Metroidvania elements like exploration. And I
Mm-hmm.
also want to implement a big exploration part into my game too, because there are many different rooms you wouldn't see on the first playthrough, so they are hidden, for example, and you have to explore the whole area to make it to 100%. And
Mm-hmm.
the last inspiration was The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD,
Oh
because
yeah. Classic.
I just I love this game. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to implement the swimming on the ocean and traveling to another islands. I wanted to implement it in my game too. So I
Mm-hmm.
made the game switch from 2D in the dungeons to 3D in the overworld, where you switch between the islands, like in Zelda.
Okay, yo, that's dope. That's definitely dope. So
And
like, no problem, man. So like, what type of enemies are in the actual game itself?
there are many different enemies. In every dungeon, there are like three different enemies, like three
Mm-hmm.
different types. For example, one island is there are many different skeletons. So
Mm-hmm.
the enemies are inspired by animals like goats, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make it look scarier, so I turned the goat into a goat skull. So I just made them all out of bones and not meat.
Right, right.
The next, the so every island has specific enemies. For example, there is a dungeon island, a jungle island, where you,
Mm-hmm.
for example, encounter spiders, and there are leaf samurais. So there's
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty crazy things coming up right now. Pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
ideas, in my opinion. But right now there are spiders, there are leaf samurais, there are skeletons and bats, for example. I think bats are in every single video games, like Slime,
Mm-hmm.
for example. So at the end, and there are also in every dungeon there's a mini boss and an end boss. So it's also a big thing I want to implement.
Dope, dope, dope. So like within the islands itself and dungeons, like how many like islands and dungeons are actually in the game?
there are many different islands, but there are 3 different dungeon islands. There's
Mhm.
Necrozy, the start island where the prison is. There
Mhm.
is the NPC island, but that's not a dungeon. The NPC island is just like Portemonnaie from Wind Waker HD, so you meet NPCs, you can
Right.
make
Right.
quests, but that's not the main game. The main dungeons are the prison dungeon where you wake up in the beginning of the game, then
Mhm.
the jungle island where you fight against a big spider at the end. Then there's also the volcano island where you at the end you get on the top of the volcano and there's an epic fight happening. And
Mhm.
the last is not a big dungeon because there will just be one room, and after that room there will be the final boss fight. So in I would say there are 4 dungeons, but the fourth is not a real dungeon because it's like 2 rooms. And there are
That's pretty
also many
interesting.
different small islands and small things to explore, such as a
Mhm.
pirate ship where you can enter, and another cool things like you can find treasures, and
Mhm.
you can meet. You can also there are many small islands, but they will
Mhm.
just have small amount of playtime, so I wouldn't count them as a dungeon too.
Okay. Okay. Dope. 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 So, like, within the character itself, do we have any like upgradable abilities within the game, or just like a straightforward game?
Yes, for example, you collect shark teeth on each different dungeon. So there are
Mhm.
in the end they are 3 different shark types: the tiger shark, there is a hammerhead shark, and the mako shark. And
Mhm.
those are 3 different like upgrades for the shark. But there is not the best shark. Both every shark has his advantages and disadvantages. So, for example, the hammerhead shark can dash through broken stones, and he is very powerful. The tiger shark has a really strong bite, and for example, he can bite through chains and solve
Mhm.
puzzles.
Mhm.
And he is also a good shark for melee combat against other animals because he has a strong bite. And the macro shark is the fastest shark, and so he is good for like time-based races and or other things. And there's
Right.
also you can upgrade, like there are two other platforming and combat abilities you can collect through the game. You don't need them, but you can use them because they will make you able to use shortcuts, for example.
Mhm. Okay, that's a very interesting. Very interesting. So, like, what type of bosses that are actually in this game?
Bosses, there are there's for example the end boss from each dungeon. And
Mhm.
there's also the end boss, Octo, the Demon King, which will have a big fight at the end of the game. But the bosses are really they all share the same procedure, I would say. So they have 2 different phases, and every
Mhm.
phase has like 4 different attacks. So I wanted to make them really um, I wanted to make them kind of predictable because you can say after this attack the next attack will happen. But
Mhm.
maybe I will also switch from a randomized fight style. Um,
Mhm.
and they, like I said, they will also have different phases, and they will get stronger through the fight. For example,
Okay. Okay, that's official. I'm definitely intrigued by what you've been telling me about this game. Very exciting. So,
thank you.
like I came across where there was a lot of mini games, like shooting darts. Like, what type besides of shooting darts? Like, what other mini games are actually in this game?
There's pretty much mini games right now. I wanted to implement as many mini games as I want, but I wanted to make them as unique as I want. So I don't want to implement like 2 or 3 mini games every day just to make the game more to have it more content. But I want to
Hmm.
make some games I also love to play, like dart or billiard. Billiard is also in the game, or like
Okay.
you can mix drinks for the barkeeper and help him.
Hmm.
He will give you his orders, and you will have to mix the drinks.
Hmm.
For example, there's also like from Wii Sports where you fly in the jet. There's also a mini game where you can ride a pelican, and
Hmm.
you can just fly over the whole island and have a look at the sunset. So there will be many different. I plan to implement like 12 mini games in the full game. Right
Okay,
now I have
definitely.
7.
Okay, definitely. That sounds dope. That sounds real dope. So This is I always ask a lot of game developers this question. This is like the $1 billion question, right? It's kind of like what words I like to call it? It's $1 billion question to persuade people to get this game. So why should people will want to actually play this game?
I think just because there's a pretty unique selling point with the shark, you can explore some new gameplay elements. I
Mm-hmm.
never saw such a transformation in the gameplay, like from walking to swimming as a shark, and it's also momentum based. So I would say it's
Mm-hmm.
a mixture of the different platforming elements that makes the game really fun. Also,
Mm-hmm.
the story will be also very unique in a different way because you will um, I plan to make the player switch to different characters later on in the game, for example, and I want them to at the end they should play both Temo and his brother Maki in the boss fight at the end. So I want
Okay.
to add some unique play styles and things into the game that I think never was done in a video game. Like for example, the switch from 2D to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it, but I also haven't played that many games. Maybe there's also games to switch from a 2D pixel art style to a 3D art style.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I wanted to make a really unique game, and many players will like it. Like the social media things I posted were very well taken by the audience. But there are
Mm-hmm.
also like 2 to 3 people on every post that do not like it. But that's the point. I want to make a different direction in the indie game, um, in the indie
Mm-hmm.
game market.
Okay, that sounds dope. Very dope. I'm definitely intrigued by this game. I definitely will want to get my hands and play this game because it sounds very interesting. You feel me? So, like, what platforms will this game be on?
The launch on this Christmas, like I wanted to launch this game in the December. I do
Mm-hmm.
not know if it will the Christmas date, but maybe also the 2nd or 3rd December. And I will launch on PC, so Steam, like
Mm-hmm.
Mac, Windows, and Linux. But I also wanted to make like 2 or 3 weeks later. I wanted to make an Android launch for mobile because many
Mm-hmm.
people ask for a mobile launch, and I wanted to get the community into the game too. So I want them to. I want every player to play the game because many people do not have a PC and they want to play the game on their mobile phone. So I will do my best to make this wish come true. And for example, I also like for right now I am talking with some people who will help me to bring the game on Switch. And this will also happen, like I will say January or February next year. There will be a
Mm-hmm.
Switch port when everything goes right. But I
Okay.
also would love to publish on other consoles like Xbox and PlayStation. But I personally do not know how it will be possible. Like with an successful PC launch, I will definitely launch on Xbox and PlayStation 2 when the financial help is coming from the sales.
Okay, most definitely, most definitely. Y'all get this game on. Everybody that's listening to this, y'all make sure this game goes on all platforms so this man get these sales for this game because this is actually a very intriguing game. Like, this is very intriguing to a lot of people. If y'all like these adventure style games, these side scrolling the 2D to 3D style games, this is actually the game. So y'all definitely check it out for sure. Make sure y'all go buy this game day one. So, like,
Thank
where
you.
can they find you? Oh, no problem, man. Where can they find you on social media?
Right now I have Twitter. Facebook is not so on Facebook I have an account, but I'm not very active because many people wrote me a Facebook DM, but I just read them like 2 months after they wrote me. So
Mm-hmm.
I am very active on TikTok, on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. I uploaded some devlogs like 2 or 3 months ago. I was at the 5th or 6th devlog right now, but
Mm-hmm.
because I'm studying and having a job and making the game, it's really hard to also upload YouTube content regularly. For example, I
Mm-hmm.
also want to make the videos on YouTube very high quality. So I
Mm-hmm.
every video needs like 1 day recording, 1 hour, 1 week editing, and so every video will take 1 week. And in
Mm-hmm.
this 1 week, I wouldn't have the time to work on the game, so I have to find some new ways to make YouTube videos soon. but I would love to upload on YouTube regularly too.
Okay, that sounds dope. That sounds very dope. So to everybody that's looking in now and that's gonna look later, make sure y'all go ahead and click the link in the description below for the links to his social medias and to the game itself. Y'all support the game. And like I said, this is a very intriguing game coming from me, and I am the brutally honest gamer. I tell like it is. From what I saw with this game, I like indie style games like this. You know what I'm saying? So y'all definitely go ahead and check this game out. So without further ado, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the post notification bell for when we drop all types of content on this channel. We out. Peace, y'all.